Welcome to the Beer Hop Podcast.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Beer Hop Podcast, where the beer is fresh, but the conversation is fresher. As always, I'm joined by the spirited Beer Hop team. We've got John Janak, the world's first flying sex panther.
Yeah.
John, what do you got to say about that, man?
I got
Hey,
nothing.
60% of the time he works every time.
Yes, he does.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's what we do.
It's been a long way. It's been a long road.
We also have Josh DeLozier, the world's shadiest tree. What do you think, bud?
I've been called shady once or twice in my life. Yeah.
Oh, you're a shady asshole. I know that.
Well,
And I'm John Knight, your humble podcast expert. On this episode, we're hanging out with Derek Duty. He is the general manager and director of sales and marketing at WanderFolk Spirits. D Money, what is up, dude?
Let's go. What is Derek? Derek.
Yeah, come on.
Derek.
Love it.
Flip the table over.
Take my shirt off.
Derek, you brought us a whole shit ton of whiskey, man.
I did. I brought some fun stuff today. Yeah. So
This is a
I
lot.
brought some newer products we just released. These are specialty finished double-barreled ryes. So the two in particular, we have our standard rye here also. So our double-barreled rye. So pretty much everything we do in the St. Moses line they're double finished bourbons and ryes. So what that means is that they spend their first years in the original cask. We pull them out of that cask and we'll put them in either. So for the standard rye, we put them in a. Actually, it's the ex-bourbon cask we use the second time for our bourbon line. The other two, though, we finish in these unique wine finishes. So Turn's a very cool French dessert wine. It's a very cool wine also, but it does really, really neat stuff, especially to the rye. And then Amarone is an Italian dessert wine as well that also very foo-foo and fun and does very wild stuff to the rye. So those are both brand new releases. We kind of do things cyclically, and this is that time of year for those.
I feel like maybe we jumped the gun a little bit here because you're dropping a whole bunch of knowledge on us.
Oh, whoops.
And who the fuck are you?
Yeah, I don't know. God, I
Derek,
don't know.
who are you, man?
I know Derek. I know him.
Tell us like
familiar.
what you're doing and who you are, and the company and all the deets.
Just a humble cobbler. My name is Derek Duty. Man, what a question. Who am I? Who am I?
Who are you like? Who are you like in here?
Inside?
Yeah.
Just a little boy.
You're the boy behind the guy?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess if I describe myself, I'm always dad, husband, creative, certified bullshit technician was my usually was my
That's your
go-to
ranking.
confidant
Yeah.
thing. But no, I'm like John mentioned, I'm the GM and the sales and marketing director at WanderFolk Spirits. So WanderFolk Spirits is the state of Oklahoma's first legal still. So it formerly was known as Prowess Spirits for a long time.
Okay,
Yep. So we were, first legal still started in 2012. So if you want to talk about how wildly, if we all don't know in Oklahoma how fun our liquor laws are, the idea that it took, statehood happened in 1907, but it took till 2012 to be able to legally produce spirits in the state. So
wow,
it's a hell of a run. So we started that deal. I'm happy to tell you that story here in a little bit if you guys want to talk about it. But so we're based in Guthrie. If anybody hadn't been up there or know that,
Guthrie.
Guthrie's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little town.
Did you go to Gentlemen of the Road back in the day?
I did.
That was a good time.
It was crazy.
That was really fun.
It gets brought up a lot still.
Gentlemen of the Road does?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that was just a really cool thing.
Yes, I think they're trying
to
to bring back some festivals like that.
That'd be great.
There are a lot of festivals in Guthrie, much smaller than that, but they're trying to bring it back.
And Derek, you guys not only you do still in Guthrie, but you or distill in Guthrie, but you guys have a whole barrel room and you guys do tours and everything, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I mean we have it's kind of a neat little world we have going on. So we have our distillery. So the original distillery is where we started. I mean, it actually used to be the state's first bus station was where we were located. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's not the same building. If you come and see us, we'll tell you about it. But the original bus station was a pretty cool building. And I know Guthrie is the whole town is historical as the first state capital. and we're right downtown. Like we're in the heart of like our other half of our building where my office is and everything. It was built in 1890. Like it's
sweet.
It's that old. Yeah. And then we have the distillery, which was built in 2012. But yeah, that was the original bus station. And man, the guys they wanted to keep it the bus station and do it, but the building was just in such decrepit shape they couldn't do it. And so that really ticked off the town for us, not for us, for them. But yeah, so we have that, and then like you mentioned, across it we've got a full rick house that our rick house is our barrel house. So right now we have we just dumped some, but we have about 430 barrels of aged product. Yep,
that's awesome,
and it's cool. It's we think the space it'll probably hold about 15 or 1800 barrels. Like that's the size of it, and if come up and we'll show you through there. It's a pretty fun little spot.
How many of these bottles is that amount of barrels? How
in
many?
A barrel? Yeah. So we have like standard size barrels. So like the 250 gallon-ish range. So or 250 liters. I'm sorry. So if you counting proofing down and stuff like that, you can usually get anywhere between like 285 to 325 bottles. These are 750 mils, so that many per barrel of a standard size.
So you have about 300 bottles in each barrel, and how many barrels did you say you have in there?
Right now we have about almost like 425, something like that.
The barrel room's so cool, man. We and John went there, and Derek gave us a tour. Nice. Derek gives the best tour, by the way.
Yeah,
you don't always do the tours, right? You have other
not
people
always,
that do them?
but I do a lot of them. And then if it's not me, it's sometimes our distiller Jeff Cole does a bunch of them too.
Shout out Jeff.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a better tour guide than Jeff?
Oh hell yes.
Shots fired, Jeff.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jeff? Come back, call us back, Jeff. See what you think.
Yeah, come on, Jeff, sucker. No, actually, Jeff has a Jeff specific tour on Fridays. It's called the Distiller's Deep Dive.
Oh,
so if you want to get nerdy about, if you want to,
I feel like we were getting nerdy when we went.
Yeah, I mean we can get as nerdy as you want, but
nerdy or dirty,
you name it.
Okay,
either one. But Jeff's tour is one that if you want to go and if you want to get kind of heady about with the guy that makes the juice, he'll go there and you can get really in depth with stuff. But all the tours are great. We do them. Yeah, we do them really from like Wednesday to Saturday.
So cool, man.
Dude, it's awesome.
Super
and I think like Derek, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you told me this. I think it was you, and it always stuck with me when John and I went to go look at the barrel room a couple years back. You said something, and you're basically like Oklahoma is like a really good climate for barrels because it gets like the extremes, like the cold and the hot. So like the wood expands and contracts, and what that does is it actually like in a way sort of speeds up the aging process in a way. Yeah.
So so going down like how bourbon becomes bourbon, right? When it goes into a barrel. If you've ever been to Kentucky or been anywhere done a distillery tour, any of that jazz, and you've seen a rick house, rick houses are usually 99% of the time, 95% of the time, not temperature controlled at all. And the reason is you want the temperature and the environment to affect the barrel itself. And what happens is just like your house when it creaks when the weather changes, for those barrels when it gets hot, the wood expands, and when that happens, all the pores of the wood open up and the liquid seeps into it, and it sits there. And that's when your mash bill, your base spirit, your White Dog, it looks like vodka. Everything coming off the still looks like vodka, right?
What is White Dog?
So White Dog is pre-aged bourbon or rye.
Did that have to do with why they called it Prairie Wolf before? White Dog?
White Dog is just a catch-all kind of clever name for what they call freshly made distillate off the still, the pre-bourbon, pre-aged bourbon where you get the color like
it's like White Lightning's moonshine and White Dog is bourbon.
Exactly. Same thing. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, White Lightning, I mean, you could call it the same. The reason why moonshine is what is usually when it comes to making bourbon and rye, you cap the strength that you come off the still at.
Okay.
Whereas if you're making moonshine, it's quite a bit higher off the still.
Okay.
You're kind of worried more about what it's going to do to you than you are about.
So before you age it, then is it much higher in alcohol content?
So great question. It can be, right? So I mean, if we're making clear spirits, right? I mean, if we're making, we can make, 100% like pretty much pure ethanol, which is your base point for clear spirits like vodkas or
I love
where you start
a good pure ethanol cocktail.
Yeah,
It's John's favorite.
and I mean, man, what an appetizing thing too. You gotta get you a hot glass of ethanol. But no, so it comes off. It's 100.
It's seasonal.
It's 195% alcohol, and it would be 100%. It would be 200% alcohol or 200 proof.
That's like
right.
Everclear.
100% alcohol. Yeah,
Everclear.
And I mean, it's Everclear. Even that is cut a little bit, but pure alcohol, it's 95% alcohol. The reason is that alcohol is lighter than air, so when you open up a vessel that you keep the liquid in, like you instantly lose 5% just because the evaporation happens immediately.
Just lost it right
there. So everyone's like, what's the difference between whiskey and bourbon? There's rules. So bourbon is America's spirit. It's JFK wrote it into law as these are the things that make bourbon what they are, right? And to do that, you have to follow the rules that are required to make bourbon. One of which, though, caps the proof that it can go into barrel at. Okay. And it caps that at 125. So to technically be in a bourbon, a proper bourbon, you can't put it off the still into the cask higher than 125.
Okay.
So that's your peak height to still call it bourbon. So other things, the other bourbon rules are, number one, it has to be 51% corn in the mash bill, so primarily corn.
Yeah.
It has to stay in the original cask that it was put in, the original barrel, for at least 2 years. Usually, obviously, bourbon stays in longer than that, but technically the rules, that's it. And then the cask it goes into has to be new American white oak. So those are kind of the base rules for if you do all those things, you've made bourbon. If you change anything about them, you've still made whiskey, but you can't call it bourbon on the label.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's
that cool?
really weird stuff.
I didn't realize it was JFK that wrote that. I didn't know
Shout
that
out
part of
JFK.
it. Yeah.
Shout out, Johnny.
John Party,
another
baby.
John, another John.
Another great
One of the
John.
great
Another damn
Johns.
John Party. Yep.
Damn.
So, yeah.
Is JFK, so does F stand for fun?
It stands
Is
for
that what it is?
funky, dude.
Funky?
It did the day he signed it into law.
Ooh, John Fun Kennedy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Obviously, you're paying homage to Oklahoma, but you want to make it Oklahoma like a special, different type of
exactly what I was going to say.
Bourbon and whiskey and
we want. I mean, like I prior to this, like we'll talk. I came from the craft beer world too. I used to be the sales marketing director at Anthem Brewing Company for a few years, but same idea, right? Stylistically with beers and things like that. But we're fortunate we have incredible beer makers in Oklahoma that. Each of them, you guys probably know, they like to put their thumbprint on the beers they make. We're trying to do the same thing with spirits,
right?
And there was really never a proper Oklahoma kind of made start to finish good bourbon option. So when we did it, we really wanted to make we want to kind of try to define Oklahoma bourbon as a style.
Nice.
So Texas bourbon is a category now that there's a lot of Texas bourbons. It's well known. It's respected. It's different. Where a Kentucky bourbon would maybe take 8 to 12 years to get to a point that they love it and that's where they want to be. You can probably get a bourbon to that point in a barrel in Texas in like 4 years. Wow. Because the different,
That's really, really crazy.
Yeah, and it makes the flavors different.
Science.
I mean, that's the reason why they're so bold is that it happens so quickly that you just get so much barrel infused flavor, whereas it's a more subtle happening. So to go even further than that, Scotch, right? If you guys Scotch drinkers or like Scotch, don't like Scotch, know what Scotch is. Scotch,
what is Scotch?
Scotch
I know what Scotch is. What is Scotch, though, Derek? Tell me.
Scotch is
Tell me about
Scotch
it.
is whiskey.
Let's talk about it.
So the whiskey rules of Scotch, like we have bourbon. Told you the rules. The Scotch rules, it has to be made in Scotland, right? So I mean, it's their it's their national.
Dude, I had no idea. Okay, so
and Scotch is primarily it's barley is their base grain. So where we have corn, Scotch is barley, malted barley primarily, right?
Yeah.
And so they do that, and then there's you have the process of like peating the malt, which that's what gives it that kind of smoky, like kind of corky, what
right.
And you can get wildly nuts like Lagavulin that's like sucking on a cork, or you can have Glenlottie makes a cool one that's called the Laddie that's like very like it's like little to no peat. So
John, you were telling me about Pete one time.
Oh yeah. Pete's my favorite.
Okay.
Pistol.
Yeah. Pistol Pete,
Pistol
baby.
Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
Shout out. Josh Giddy, shout out.
I gotta ask about like you were sort of the mastermind behind all of the branding of the sub brands of WanderFolk. So like Same Old Moses.
The man is a brander.
Garden Society.
Can we talk about Derek's branding prowess? The man is a branding, he's good at tours. He's good at talking on podcasts, but
Number
he's a
one,
brander.
tours. Number
He's
two,
He's a
brands.
brander. He brands too.
Always been a creative. I haven't always had the kind of jobs that let me flex that muscle the way that.
Dude, I want you on the podcast. Flex hard, dude.
Flex dog.
Also, we need a pic of Derek and his fit before he leaves. You know, he's an Air Max head. We're getting into it.
You clearly had an intent like behind Same Old Moses and Garden Society. They're both very different, both very beautiful. So like, what was sort of the
what's
thought
the
process
story?
behind,
What's the
behind
story?
both of them and all that?
I mentioned earlier, so I was at Anthem, right? And I got approached by the folks at Prairie Wolf to come over, and I worked with doing the Anthem's rebrand, kind of the refresh. Ultimately, my major issue with them, not issue, but like where I kind of told them I thought they could really make some advancements was when you looked at the shelf, you didn't really, like, they could be all over the place, and you would never know it came from the same place. Whereas if you guys know,
you lock it in.
Yeah, most brands, if you see the can from across the liquor store, you know
Yeah.
that's
Say,
a
like,
Stone Cloud, right? Or
100%.
that's a Coupe brander, or there's a rough tail, right? Because there's like a brand language to their look. So we just want to make a system that
brand
works.
language. I like that term, brand language, for the pod.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
tight. That's tight. I like that term. I've never heard it. Brand language is like very important.
Yeah,
I remember you were saying that when me and John were in a meeting with you when you were still at Anthem, and you were like, you said like there was like almost like you'd be like, okay, Pils is my beer, running is my anthem, or something like that.
Oh yeah, what's your anthem? That was
What's your
the-
anthem?
yeah.
What's your anthem? That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Also, with that brand and with a name like Anthem, it's just like such a strong name. And like the cool thing is, a lot of people don't know this. You guys do because you work with me on it. But the new Anthem logo, which is that cool kind of waving flag, what it really is, though, it's a music staff that's cut. So it's the song.
Very
but we made
cool.
the song into a flag, so it's Anthem both ways,
Wow,
right?
that's
Dude,
cool.
and this is where the storytelling is so important, because when you know that is what that logo means, like it resonates.
To go back to your initial point, where do these brands come from, right? Well, this was even crazier because we knew. I mean, we don't take lightly the fact that we are trying to like basically make an industry happen here that wasn't here before, right? And
For
distilling.
sure, yeah.
It's like what we're drinking here today, Same Old Moses. So Same Old Moses is our bourbon and rye line. So Same Old Moses was the name of the first bar ever in Oklahoma Territory prior to statehood.
Nice.
And it's set about 2 blocks from where the distillery is. It was in Guthrie, the state's first capital.
Yeah.
Moses was a real person, the same of Same Old Moses fame.
Not the Moses, not the original.
Not
Bible
not the
Moses.
not the
Bible
not the
Moses.
Red Sea guy.
The original Guthrie Moses.
Yeah. Now I will say that he was also
Moses was immortal, and he did move to Oklahoma eventually after the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
He loved bourbon.
Or the Red Sea. He
Yeah.
moved over. He migrated.
There's parts of real 10 Commandment.
Disclaimer. Derek, sorry. Keep going.
You're good. So Moses was a cool. He was a Hungarian Jewish immigrant that came over, started a grocery store chain, basically like with some partners.
Right.
So they're grocers. So then when the word caught wind of what they were going to do in Oklahoma with, what was the land run and all that jazz of making it potentially a state, Moses, very forward thinking guy, was like, well, I'm going to get ahead of this and I'm going to get down there and figure out, and like we're gonna be like the grocer of whatever
nice.
this is going to be, right? So anyway, so everybody who did the land run, they had to come to Guthrie to get their deed to their land. So what Moses did is he just caught a train down here. Basically, while everyone's waiting in line to get their land, he just went up and down the line and was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Moses. I'm your grocer now." So does he? So he's taking orders. So of course people are like, "Yeah, I'll take. Sure, we'll take some meat. We'll take this." And but also, can you get whiskey? Like that was like the go-to question.
He's like, "Whoa,
I can get whiskey. Yeah, like we,
I get whatever
you could." So he starts realizing he's got like a good 10 pages of food. Then he has like 40 pages of whiskey orders.
Damn.
So he was like, "Man, it's way easier just to toss a bunch of whiskey barrels on a train than it is to get a bunch of perishables." So he decides he's going to open a bar.
Dude. Renegade.
Ask for forgiveness instead of permission,
Yeah.
right?
Renegade.
That's the way you're supposed to do it.
Renegade of John Funk Kennedy.
So that's right. So he, so basically he sent a telegraph to his partners and said, "Hey, scratch the idea about the grocery store. I think I'm just going to open a bar. Everybody here just wants to drink."
Yep.
So one of his partners sent back, "Same Old Moses always finds a way to make money."
Yeah.
So there you go, right? So
That's
Same Old
cool.
Moses is born.
Yeah.
That's the first bar. So what's crazy about Oklahoma? So Prohibition started, federally in 1920, but Oklahoma was the first state that ratified the Constitution with Prohibition in it. So we got like a 13-year head start on being lame. So and that was all
That should
kind
be
of
on one
led.
of your shirts, bro.
Yeah, it's all led by the temperance movement. That was led
Temperance.
primarily by a gal whose name was Carrie Nation. So she led a group of women. They called themselves the Hatchetations. Her religious take was that she believed that alcohol was the devil's way to control men to
Right.
beat their wives.
Yep.
Her answer, though, was that she was going to put an end to alcohol.
Right.
One way or the other. Her way was interesting. It was through religion and carrying a hatchet. So why the hatchet matters is that she got all these women kind of in the same situation she was in, got them really fired up about their cause, and they would just bum rush bars.
This is before social media and
This is a
Instagram,
little
by
bit,
the way.
This is a little pre-social media, yeah.
Few
Not
years.
sure.
Few years.
Only about a couple years.
So
Couple
what they would
hundred.
do is they'd roll into a bar like 50 deep, and they would just break everything with hatchets. They would,
Can you imagine being at that time? That
Yeah.
would be fucking like. I'd be horrified and scared, but also I want to be there. Like I want to see it.
Oh, yeah.
As
yeah,
a voyeur,
just crazy.
the voyeur
Just-
side of me wants to see that and be like, "Oh my god!"
they
this
broke the
is-
glasses. They broke the bottles. If they used bottles, they do as much damage as they could. The big thing they did is they always chop the bar top up because they thought like you couldn't set your drink down because it'd be all whatever. So just a thing they did. So long story short, she got kicked out of Kansas, ended up in Guthrie. Lucky us. So Moses again, smart guy, entrepreneur, always forward thinking. Everyone knew who she was, right? So he actually proactively invited her to the bar, and he said, "You're allowed to give your spiel, tell your story, but just don't break my bar." And
It's like one rule, like just don't break
yeah,
it.
just
Yeah.
don't break
Don't
my
chop
bar.
it up.
On her way out, she takes her. She always has her hatchet. She takes her hatchet and she just slams the side of the bar on her way out, and she breaks the corner of the bar off. Moses had a sign maker in town make a sign over the door, and it said, "All nations welcome except Carrie." So again,
Love
talking
that.
about
Yeah,
everybody
right.
welcome. So if you look on the back of any of our bottles on Same Old Moses or the boxes they come in, the catchphrase for the brand is "All nations welcome except Carrie."
And Derek, that's why like on every single bottle of Same Old Moses, you guys have the little hatchet, right?
Yeah.
You talked about it earlier, but like that's
Well, it's her like the hatchet. Funny enough, the hatchet is a replica of the hatchet she carried. So I found it and I had them make just a
This
little
is
version.
Derek's doing.
Yeah,
That
I
is
hunted
cool.
it down, and then but her hatchet used to say
Fucking
home.
awesome.
It said Home Defender on her handle, and I
That's
just
awesome.
replaced it with the All Nations Welcome except Carrie. So yeah, so you get a little.
That's why my man is
little
a
charm.
storyteller.
We're built on stories. Like I mean, everything. Life is a story, right? I mean, everyone's life is a story. So for me, it's like to make a brand matter, there has to be something more behind it. I mean, who can
Yeah, Derek,
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, because I think like we've talked about stories quite a bit tonight, but like you guys really you have stories to tell, and you tell them very well through not only visuals but through like verbiage on various labels and things like that. And like for people that don't know, like at the end of a tour, if you come up, you guys also have the Wander In, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like basically at the end or the beginning, however that works, you get to come in and they get to like sample different like products you guys have, and then they can buy some merch, and like it's like a really cool. It also like looks really cool and old
Thanks.
and historic too.
Yeah, so the Wander In is our tasting room. So again, talking about how far the laws come, we actually could not legally have a tasting room until it's not coming up on 2 years ago, but we couldn't have one until 2 years ago,
Right.
basically. So it's a full cocktail bar. We have like small plate food and stuff like that too, but everything we make uses our product in it. So also a
Love
fun thanks. Also a fun Oklahoma thing legally is while they're still trying to figure out this new law for us, we technically can't make you a cocktail. So what we do for fun is we make the cocktail, but we serve everything in the cocktail with the spirit next to it.
Yeah.
And it actually works. And then you just pour the spirit in and and stir
Oklahoma
it.
It's called a
laws.
loophole. It's
Oklahoma
called a
laws.
loophole.
Seriously, like John said.
Can Oklahoma
loophole.
get with it? Can we get with it?
Yeah.
Like I mean, the amount of loopholes we all have to go. Not like specifically me, but you all. Like even the craft beer industry. Like the loopholes everyone has to go through just to get something done is unbelievable.
Malarkey.
It's silly.
Yeah. So Derek, we talked a lot about Same Old Moses, which is delicious. But like, you guys also do clear spirits.
Yep.
Like I know. Like tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, this distillery started in clear spirits. I mean, Prey Wolf vodka was their first product, and it's still, we still make Prey Wolf vodka, and we've
nice.
we've improved it a whole lot
Yeah.
from where it started. No slide on the guys who started, it was new, and we've
Sure.
had a lot of time, and we've learned a lot. Price points can be pretty all over the place when it comes to spirits, so we wanted to make sure that our kind of internal line is like from the well up the wall is how we want to take care of folks. So
That's cool.
So Prairie Wolf is our well line. I'm using, if you don't see the video, I'm using the quote unquotes because it's
Quoties.
well gets a bad rap, like it's
Yeah, it
bad.
does, yeah.
From a price point perspective, it's closer to an entry point, but the quality remains up the wall.
I love when you
us.
get some good quality well.
Yeah,
Well can be quality.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, absolutely,
It's
especially
very
now.
well done. Well,
So that's Prairie Wolf. So we have in the Prairie Wolf line we make the vodka. We also make a dry gin, so a more traditional London style dry gin. So that's Prairie Wolf, and then we also make a coffee liqueur that's really great. And I'll tell you, the coffee liqueur is interesting. Again, keeping it all local. We partner with Topeka Coffee in Tulsa.
Awesome.
They're amazing people. They also have a bunch of amazing bars and restaurants. What's crazy about them, Topeka, they actually also own where their coffee's grown.
Wow,
And
okay.
and so their big thing for them is they really take care of the people who work on the plantation that grows the coffee and handles it all. So very, very, very ethically grown. Also great stuff. But we were very specific on what we wanted the coffee to be for that, because it's a really important product, or really specific what we have to do to get it to be what it wanted to be. They made like the roast for us, and then they even improved the quality of our product by doing this really cool nitro cold brew infusion that we use. So if you ever see, it's called cold brew coffee liqueurs. It used to be called dark, but it's fantastic. Coffee liqueurs are weird when they are catching on with all the hype of espresso martinis and things like that. But
Dude, my brother's favorite, it was at his wedding, his favorite drink.
Which
it's
brother?
like an espresso martini. So like, would this be ideal? Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. So then, like you mentioned, Garden Society is our premium clear spirit line, and you can see it a lot of places. And a pretty ornate bottle. It's got a lot of, like you'll see it. It's like flowers and these crazy kind of weird
Beautiful.
ladies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And it's also on your website. Like the website is all flowery.
And
stuff, right?
all the three. That's our three brands. So you've got
Yeah.
Garden Society's our our clear spirit line, our premium clear. Same old Moses we talked about a lot. It's all of our bourbons and ryes, and then Prairie Wolf, which is our kind of entry point line. So and all the elements kind of work together. So Garden Society, though, it's funny. The ladies on the bottle, you'll see them. They were actually Hatchetation, so now you guys know the story. The ladies too, their eyes they're like poked out, and it's like it's kind of our joke, like we got you. Like
That's the
like
difference
giving you
between
the Three
that's
Stooges.
the difference between a good storyteller and someone who's forgotten forever.
so
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that was cool, and that branding, it's cool. You definitely can't miss the bottle, which was our plan, and that was one too. We won Craft Spirits Packaging of the Year. In
Really?
Clear Spirits for that. Yeah, the
Wow.
first year we put that.
That's awesome.
That's
line out.
fantastic.
Dude,
It
shout
was
out to you, man, because I know that was sort of your visionary sort of like.
Yeah. My storyboard, I will say also Dave Hoffner, who's my design partner. He was my partner also at Anthem, and he
Shout
takes
out
my
Dave.
crazy ideas
Yeah.
and he makes them. He's Upside Down Design. If you ever want to check him out, he's in Norman. He's an incredible guy.
So Derek, if people want to find more out about WanderFolk, the brand, what you guys are doing, where you guys are at, all that sort of stuff, is there a website, social media? What do you guys do?
Yeah,
Where do they go?
Website mainly, obviously, what you just said.
Yep,
And
WanderFolk
then
Spirits.
You guys have a big following on Instagram or Facebook, or
Yeah, all the social media. It's the same.
everyone on every avenue. on
Every
social media?
avenue, yeah. If
Okay.
it's a social media platform, we're on it. It'll be either be It's usually WanderFolk Spirits. Whatever they call Twitter now is WF Spirits. But we don't do a lot over there. But WanderFolk Spirits will get you everywhere. We're very active and stuff.
Yeah.
We try to keep it
What
all.
if somebody wants to come down?
Yeah.
They hear this and they're like, I want to see this.
You want to get the
person.
tour. You want to get the
Yeah,
tour.
the best.
I want the
Ask
the
for Derek
story,
or
the Derek
Josh.
story.
The best experience,
Or Jeff.
you can have with anything that we do is, come to Guthrie. It's a cool little town. It's a
Guthrie
fun
is
little town
very
to
cool.
support. It's like kind of going through a time capsule and hang out with us, and you can learn all about it. And then tours and tastings we do Wednesday through Saturday. You can book them. If you go to the website too, there's a tab called Visit Us at the top. It'll take you straight to where you can book it all yourself. It's very simple.
Derek,
sir.
thanks again, man. For real, dude.
Thank you, guys.
Love your product.
Cheers.
Love you. Dude, keep up the work, man. Love it, man.
That's one of our better cheerses.
Clingy.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.